Hey guys, Dr. Stephanie here, and today we're going to go through a routine for tight glutes. So your glutes are these muscles right here, kind of in your butt area. You have your gluteus maximus, which is kind of the biggest muscle back here. You have your gluteus medius and minimus, and you also have other muscles around there that rotate your hips. Also, muscles that attach close to there, like the hamstrings in the back. And so there's lots of muscles around there, and you may feel tightness kind of deep in your butt or just somewhere around this area, or even tightness that comes around the front. So all of these exercises are going to help just kind of loosen up that area, give you some relief there. So just follow along with me. The only equipment I'm using for this one is this little 6-inch chirp wheel. You can also use a foam roller, or if you don't have either of those, just roll up a thick towel or use a small pillow. I'll show you how we're going to use that. That's just for one exercise. Okay, so lie on your back first. And you can do this on a mat on the floor, or you can do this on a couch or a bed, whatever's most comfortable for you. So first, what we're going to do is a supine 90-90. So feet are going to be wider than shoulder width apart here, and knees bent here. What you're going to do is rotate both knees down to the side, down to the floor as low as you can, and then come back to the other side. Kind of like a windshield wiper movement, just back and forth, one side, and then to the other side, and just going as low as you can comfortably. I like this one too. You'll probably feel it kind of in the front of your hip as well. So we're stretching back here, but we're also stretching the front, just kind of working on that mobility, making sure you go through this movement slow, and just pause for a second or two on each side. You can hold for a little bit longer if you want to. If you kind of feel like that's a good stretch, just kind of hold it there and then go back to the other side. We're not going to count through these. If you're doing them on your own and you want to count, then go ahead and do between 10 and 20 to each side. But just nice and slow, whatever feels good. Really, I just like to do it until I feel loosened up. So just go back and forth. You can let your lower back come up off of the ground, off of the mat, but try to keep your upper back and mid back on the mat. Because if you rotate this, then everything rotates and you don't get as good of a stretch down here. So just back and forth. Do a few more times here. Hands can go on top of your stomach here, go out to the side, next to your sides, wherever's comfortable. Just back and forth. And pausing for a second or two each side. Okay, from here, we're going to do a little variation of this. Now, cross one foot over the opposite knee here, and hands can go wherever you're comfortable. We're going to do kind of the same movement, just going side to side here. This just gets a little deeper stretch into those glutes. Also, if you've heard of the piriformis muscle, that's a small hip rotator muscle kind of deep in your butt right here. That can be the cause of some sciatica symptoms, some of that shooting pain down the back of your leg, or sometimes you just have pain deep in your butt, and that could be because that piriformis muscle is tight. So we're just going to go side to side here. Again, nice and slow, just back and forth. These are good exercises to do when you first wake up in the morning, before you get started on your day. Also good to do right before you go to bed, or before you run or walk or do some other sort of exercise. Or you can just do them randomly throughout the day. Just go a few more times back and forth. Really getting down towards the floor as low as you can. And don't worry if you can't get down as far as I'm going. Just go as far as you can comfortably, but you want to feel a stretch. And the stretch will feel a little bit different on each side. Okay, let's switch legs. Same thing on this other side. Down towards the floor. And then down towards the floor on the other side. So knee down towards the floor. And then foot down towards the floor. Back and forth. Nice and slow. And if you feel like one side is harder or it feels tighter, that's okay. That's actually pretty normal. Usually one side is tighter than the other, and you may just need to work on that side a little bit longer. So maybe you did 10 of these on one side, and then you go to the other side and you're like, oh man, this one is much tighter. You can do 15 or 20, or maybe even just hold it a little bit longer. So when you're here, maybe you feel a good stretch here. So just hold that a little bit longer and then go back to the other side. So these exercises are really to kind of loosen everything up, improve your mobility, and you want them to feel, they can be a little bit uncomfortable, especially if you're not used to moving in those movements. And they should be a little bit uncomfortable because that's how things change. That's how you get more mobility there. But it shouldn't be painful. It shouldn't be a sharp pain. It shouldn't be a lasting pain. So if that's the case, then just kind of back off, do it maybe not quite so big a movement, or you can just skip that exercise if you notice one exercise causes more pain. Okay, from here, we are going to do a piriformis stretch. So this one is more of a static stretch, but we're just going to do it for about 5 seconds. So you're just gonna, knee is gonna be, or foot is gonna be on your knee, grab your hands behind this leg, just let this foot relax. Hold that for about 5 to 10 seconds. And then come back down. We're going to do all of them on one side and then switch to the other side. We're just going to do 3 on each side. I don't like to do a whole lot of static stretching just because I feel like the mobility movements help more. They kind of get the blood flowing, get your muscles loosened up. But it is good to mix in some static stretching sometimes as well. Okay, let's do our last one. I just wouldn't do static stretching where you're just holding right before you do an activity like running or working out. Now, if it's just in the morning, let's go to the other side. If you wake up in the morning, you do some static stretching where you just hold here, that's totally okay. I just wouldn't do a whole lot of it right before you go for a run or go for a long walk or go for a bike ride. Because sometimes that can just kind of cause your muscles to stretch too much and then they don't work like they should, and that can lead to injury. But that's not usually the case unless you're sitting and doing like long static stretching, just holding for, doing that for 10 or 15 minutes. So doing a few stretches isn't going to hurt. Okay, last one here, just hold. And you should be feeling the stretch kind of deep in here and kind of in the back of your leg here. Okay, from here, straighten out your legs, just lie flat on the floor. And then you're gonna bring one knee to your chest and pull it across to the ground here. Arm can be out here. You can even turn your head this way while you do it. And then come back. You're just gonna hold that 2 or 3 seconds and then do the same thing on the other side. 2 or 3 seconds. This gets a good stretch down here. And then come back to the other side. It definitely gets a deeper stretch if you leave this arm kind of stretched out here. And then come back. And then to the other side. And just holding for a couple seconds there. You can hold for a little bit longer if it feels good. But I kind of like to keep moving on this one. And again, you don't have to move your head, but you can move your head away from your knee, and that kind of gets a little neck stretch there as well. All right, one more time on each side. And last one here. Okay, now for our last exercise, we're going to take this little wheel, and like I said, if you don't have one of these, this is a chirp wheel, a 6-inch. You can use a foam roller, or you can use a rolled up towel, or even a small pillow. You're just going to place it underneath your lower back here. And from here, we're going to keep our feet flat on the ground, and we're going to take one foot, lift it up, and kind of thread it underneath the other leg, and just let your knee fall to the floor. Just pause for a second or two and come back up. And then same thing on the other side. Just let that knee fall to the floor and then come back up. Same thing to the other side. Back up. If you feel like the roller is too difficult at first, you can do the same thing, just keep your back flat on the floor and then work your way up to using the roller. I feel like the roller just gives you a little extra stretch there. Okay, keep going back and forth. And again, you can pause for a second or two or a little bit longer here. Just get a stretch there. Just let the knee fall to the floor. Do a few more of these. You can also use a pillow under your head if you feel like you need it. Okay, last one. Okay, let's remove this. So your glutes should feel good and stretched out, kind of relaxed and ready to go. You can do that, like I said, in the morning or at night before you go to bed, or before a workout as well. So try those, and hopefully your glutes feel a little bit more loosened up.